Number 10. Chevy Chase. In 1978, Murray infamously got into a physical altercation with Chase Chevy. After the star returned to Saturday Night Live as a guest host, it began with the two trading some pretty heavy insults towards each other. It started when Murray telling Chase to go get with his wife, and Chase responded by telling Murray his face looked like something Neil Armstrong landed on. The insults seemed to escalate as quickly as their comebacks did, and television following the rest of the cast watched the two display in a physical altercation. Larnie Newman noted, "It was a very sad and painful thing to watch unfold during her appearance on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen in June of 2021. In May of 2012, Murray called his part in the scandal a childish feeling of jealousy and anger he let control him. He went on to say things that he was mad that Chevy left the cast of Saturday Night Live and Murray somehow was avenging Angel, who had to speak for everybody else. Chevy and Murray are soon back on good terms after the fiasco, and everything was fine as the two starred together in the 1980 comedy Caddyshack shortly after the altercation. Number 9. Richard Dreyfuss. Oscar winner Richard explained when he was working with Murray on the 1991 film What About Bob that Murray was a bully. He explained that Bill drank a lot at dinner and let his true colors showed and allowed everybody to see how much of a bully he was. When reflecting on his whole experience on set, he highlighted one incident where he asked Murray to read a tweak in the script and Murray lost his temper. He went on to say that the star became face to face with him, so close that their noses were touching. Murray then went on to scream at Richard at the top of his lungs and said, "Everybody hates you, you are tolerated." Richard then went on to note that he had no time to react because Murray then proceeded to throw an ashtray at him. Luckily the ashtray missed, and rather than making things worse, Richard decided to leave the room. Richard showed us that Murray has a violent past, not just with female co-stars, but also with his male ones. Number 8, we have Laura Ziskin. Richard Dreyfuss wasn't the only person who had problems with Murray and how he handled himself on the set of filming What About Bob. As producer, Laura Ziskin has said that she once had a disagreement with Murray which resulted in him tossing her into a lake. Although at the time she called it playful, in 2003 she claimed the event wasn't so playful, as throughout the set Murray started to become more aggressive. In one incident, Murray asked Laura for an extra day off, and when she said no, he had an epic meltdown and took Laura's glasses off before breaking them and throwing them across the parking lot. The altercation caused everybody to walk off production, and a bunch flew back to LA to film, only after Disney hired some bodyguards to physically separate Murray from harming anyone else between takes. Bill Murray tried to justify his actions in an interview back in 1991, saying he didn't get along with many of his cast and directors, and all he was doing was standing up for himself. Number 7, we have Harold Ramis. Bill Murray had a long decade estrangement from his longtime friend and collaborator Harold. Sadly, the two's friendship collapsed while on set of the film 1993 Groundhog's Day. During a heated creative dispute, Harold said he grabbed Murray's shirt collar and the two got into a heated altercation. In a book later released by Harold's daughter Violet titled Ghostbusters' Daughter: Life of My Dad, Violet would go on to note that the incident happened and Murray wouldn't speak to Harold for over 20 years, and even though Harold tried not to take it personally, he was ultimately left feeling heartbroken and confused about the unsurprised rejection. Murray was unheard from up until Harold was in the hospital, and Murray showed up to visit his old pal unannounced at 7 a.m. in February of 2014 with a box of donuts and a police escort. With Harold losing his ability to speak, he was no longer able to speak to Murray before his passing. However, Murray didn't mind and hung out with Harold for a couple of hours anyways. I'm glad Bill was able to put the two's differences aside and came together for his friend before his passing. Number 6, we have McG. Moving on to the set of Charlie's Angels, filmed in 2000s, director McG, whose real name is Joseph McGinty Nicol, claimed in an interview with Guardian in May of 2009 that working on movies can be pretty stressful at times, even adding that he doesn't think he's ever been on a film that hasn't had some type of altercation break out. In one incident, his nose was obliterated when his head collided with another. At first he didn't want to recall the name of the actor with respect, however he went on to say it was Bill Murray. And the industry is very passionate industry, and people take care of their own work. When Murray heard about the interview, he did his own interview with Times of London in October 2009. The star went on to note that Joseph has a really active imagination and he doesn't understand why he would make up that story. He then took to the situation further by stating a really serious sentence that made many feel uncomfortable. With Joseph coming forward about his experience in past film sets encountering the same situation, it's easy to see why Bill would lie to cover up the allegations, but now that more stars are coming forward, it's clear that McG had nothing to lie about and was warning us all about the actor before these events could happen again. Number 5. Angelica Houston. Addams Family star Angelica Houston was essentially hurt by Bill Murray's behavior on set of Wes Anderson's 2004 film. Angelica said Bill was horrible after working with him, and in May of 2017, Houston told Vulture that during her first week of set, Bill invited the entire cast for dinner except for her. She went on to say that everyone went out for dinner a little dog-faced at the fact she wasn't there or had been invited, and throughout the day they were telling her, "Oh, you know, we really don't want to go," but they all went otherwise. The whole situation really hurt Angelica. With the film being shot all over Italy, Angelica noted that she didn't see Bill again until they were on set to shoot in Florence. When she entered the set, Bill greeted her and asked her how she was and even said, "I miss you." In the heat of the moment, Angelica looked at him and said he was full of it and told Bill that he didn't miss her. Murray is said to be confused for a moment but was unfazed by the comment. Angelica showed us that Bill didn't care about his castmates and he wasn't afraid to single them out and make them feel unwanted in many situations. Number 3, we have Leonardo DiCaprio. Before the 2019, when the pair filmed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it said that Leonardo DiCaprio actually had a restraining order against Pitt, and ultimately that's why they didn't star any films together before 2019. In an interview, Brad joked that an incident they were no longer like to talk about happened as a result of the pair not getting along. In 1994, when Pitt was engaged to 90s blonde icon Gwyneth Paltrow, it said that Gwyneth broke Brad Pitt's heart when she ended their engagement, and after the breakup, it's rumored that Gwyneth was seen with Leonardo DiCaprio, and the pair was seen together. This obviously didn't sit well with Pitt, and his actions were pretty questionable towards DiCaprio, causing the restraining order to be put in place. However, in 2019, the stars both squashed their beef and are now said to be the bestest of friends. Number 2, we have Mike Tyson. Brad Pitt has always been in the headlines when it comes to his relationships, and this particular fling, no one saw coming. In 1988, Mike Tyson explained he was seeing now ex-wife Robin Givens when he caught Robin and Brad together. Tyson claimed he was mad and hurt by the incident, and he and Robin shortly after finalized their divorce. While Tyson claimed he was hurt by the whole ordeal, he also noted that he holds no ill feelings towards the top-ranked actor.
Number 10. Fantastic Beasts 4. The new movie has technically already been planned by Warner Brothers, but it hasn't officially been confirmed, and the future of the franchise looks bleak, partly due to Miller's erratic behavior. Before the release of The Secrets of Dumbledore, Variety reported that the studio was waiting to see how the 3 films were received before making the tough decision about whether or not to go forward with the remaining 2 movies. But at this time, the major Ezra Miller problem that the studio has on their hands is dampening the future success of all the DC Expanded Universe projects until a firm decision is made about how to handle the star's offset issues. The actor has starred in all 3 Fantastic Beasts films, playing Credence Barebone, and is also set to headline the upcoming Flash movie. However, due to the actor's legal woes, the filmmakers have decided to drop them in the spin-off film. And with the other controversies surrounding the Fantastic Beasts trilogy, including J.K. Rowling's anti-trans comments, it's clear that any planned sequels are more or less dead in the water. Number 9. Very first arrest. In June of 2011, Miller was a passenger in a vehicle vehicle that got pulled over for a broken brake light in Pittsburgh while shooting Perks of Being a Wallflower. Police found 20 grams of a leafy green substance on Miller, and the then 18-year-old was charged with possession. The judge was very lenient though, and after giving them a lecture about influencing the younger cast members, he let them off with a slap on the wrist and dropped the case altogether. The actor instead faced 2 citations of disorderly conduct and was ordered to pay $600. But it's clear that Miller wasn't very sorry, as several years later in 2018 they started smoking the very same substance during an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. They also went on to tell New York Magazine, quote, "It's a harmless herbal substance that increases sensory appreciation," also making it known that they first started smoking from a very young age. Number 8. Strange comments. In 2011, the star took the role of a teenage school in We Need to Talk About Kevin, which was eventually dubbed one of the most controversial movies ever made, probably because the subject matter was just so disturbing. Miller went very deep into the role of a sociopath with method acting, and the ultimate result was a character so unsettling that they said it even bothered some of their friends. Quote, "I do get a certain kind of validation and gratification from the way people will sort of approach me tentatively, with a little bit of fear after they see the film. The admission by itself is not that strange, but when you look at Miller's interview with Vogue several years later, they asked the writer if she would like to see the crossbow that their character used to attack several classmates in the same film. They apparently keep the crossbow in their house and jump at the opportunity to show it to anyone who asks them about the movie." Number 7. Failed music career. Miller's passion for singing didn't end after they began pursuing their acting career. Their band, Sons of an Illustrious Father, has over 22,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, which means that despite Miller's fame and notoriety, the band hasn't really seen much success over a decade of making music. So things started to make sense when in May of this year, 2 musicians came forward accusing Miller of stealing music they worked on and releasing it without giving them credit. Music producer Oliver Ignatius and rapper Guy Scavera claimed that the actor stole the music they worked on together and posted it to social media without credits. Ignatius met up with Miller in both the Northeast and Hawaii to collaborate on new music, but soon realized that they, quote, "seemed to be on a very dangerous spiral," and said that working with the actor actually felt like pulling teeth. In fact, they called their behavior atrocious, belligerent, threatening, and incredibly aggressive. But after Ignatius quit the project, Miller then posted the unfinished music online, including songs that they had not worked on together at all. Now Ignatius plans to file a court order for Miller to take the music down. Number 6. Altercations with fans. The Flash actor has had so many disturbing and at times violent altercations with fans that there's almost too many to mention. One was actually captured on video in 2017 at a San Diego Comic-Con event, when a fan jokingly asked Miller to smell their breath, and Miller responded by kissing the fan directly on the mouth, planting a big kiss on the man's lips without clear consent. The trouble is that Miller seemed to be slightly intoxicated in the video, leading fans to question if they were drunk. And in a since deleted tweet, a disturbing video shows Miller choking a woman at a bar in Iceland. The incident took place after Miller was approached by a group of eager young fans, and the actor appeared to lose their temper at the young woman for no apparent reason. She was then grabbed by the throat and thrown to the ground. But the actor seemed to have evaded a lot of heat for the altercation, as some fans claim that it's still a joke. Number 5. Vermont farm. Up until now, people have only been able to speculate about what really goes on in their Vermont farm. But recently, a new report has made headlines alleging even more concerning activity involving the actor and people that are underage. According to Rolling Stone, Miller is currently housing a 25-year-old mother and her 3 young ones at their elusive home that they share with their bandmates and friends. The report suggests that the property doubles as an unlicensed farm, which grows a certain leafy green substance and is also littered with weapons. The mother claims that the actor helped her escape the domestic violence that was occurring in her relationship, telling Rolling Stone anonymously that Miller's home has been a healing haven for the family, but the young ones are reportedly exposed to a large amount of smoke from the illicit substance in poorly ventilated environments, and sources who've been inside the property say that there are about 8 weapons of various sizes just lying around the living room, with some propped up next to a pile of stuffed animals. One source told a particularly disturbing story about one of the little ones finding a loose bullet and putting it in their mouth. Number 4. Mia Solange. Miller has been accused of inflicting twisted acts upon a former intimate partner, Mia Solange. These acts range from physical violence to emotional manipulation after they started started dating in 2019. This claim against Miller came to light on April 1st when a Twitter account dedicated to Ezra Miller receipts made a number of messages public exchanged between themselves and the accuser, a young TikToker by the name of Mia Solange, where she declared that Ezra flew her from Hawaii to Oklahoma to work on a movie, and that she was only 19 at the time. She also sent a photo of bruises on her leg supposedly sustained from Ezra, claiming that he would aggressively bite her. Solange's claims against Miller would garner more widespread attention on April 23rd after they shared a now deleted video montage to TikTok featuring photos of the two, most of which were previously seen in the screenshot of their camera roll, and declared, quote, "Ezra Miller is not a good human and I can finally say so without being terrified." Sounds like it was an absolute nightmare. Number 3. Police body cam footage. A Hawaii police assistant chief recently admitted that Miller had been the source of 10 police calls in Hilo since March 7th, with complaints ranging from filming people at a gas station, traffic obstruction, and refusing to leave a restaurant. But police body cam footage has surfaced online, which really made the actor look terrible. In the video, one of the law enforcement officers is heard calling Miller sir, to which they respond, quote, "I'm sorry, I'm not a sir, I'm transgender non-binary. Please don't call me sir. If you fail to do that again, that is an act of intentional bigotry," and started citing US federal law. While asking police officers to identify themselves, the Flash star could be heard screaming requests for a full badge member and accusing the officers of touching their private parts, saying, quote, "I'm transgender, non-binary, and I don't want to be searched by a man." It was a fair request under the circumstances, but the video just made the actor look bad. Number 2. Harassment protection order. A mother and her child were granted a temporary harassment protection order against Miller in Massachusetts after alleging the actor behaved inappropriately towards the child and also brandished a weapon in a threatening manner. The Daily Beast's investigation reported that the family was at a downstairs neighbor's house on February 2nd, when Miller showed up reportedly wearing a bulletproof vest and started acting in a creepy manner towards the child. Miller allegedly told them, quote, "I've talked extensively with your child and they have a lot of power to them. At one point you're going to realize that you don't have any control over them anymore. They're an elevated being and they would be lucky to have someone like me guide them." The visiting neighbor told the outlet that Miller was especially focused on the child, allegedly pestering them with compliments, uncomfortably hugging them, and even touching their hips. When they were questioned about this, Miller reportedly blew up, opened their jacket to reveal a weapon, and started threatening everyone with it. Number 1. Cult behavior. In January, Chase Ionized accompanied Ezra Miller and his daughter, the now missing 18-year-old Indigenous activist Gibson Ionized, to Oakland, California, and claimed that the actor had also brought along 2 other young women, one known as Stella Marbles and the other was Mia Solange. While at a state park, Miller repeatedly told Chase that they believed themselves to be the second coming of Jesus Christ before pulling out a firearm. This really lines up with all their other cult-like behavior, as Gibson is not the only young person who seems to be caught in their spell. Miller has just about kidnapped Gibson and has been creeping on them since they were 12 years old. The Standing Rock Sioux Tribal Court has issued a protective order against Miller, whom they have accused of using violence and brainwashing to hold sway over the child. That is textbook cult behavior. Number 10. Mark Wahlberg. In 2013, a series of leaked court documents suggested that Tom Cruise had compared working on a film to being as intense as fighting in Afghanistan. It's safe to say that this statement did not go down well with Mark Wahlberg. Later down the line, while he was promoting his film Lone Survivor, which was based on actual events of the failed 2005 mission Operation Red Wings, where Mark played the role of a Navy SEAL. When asked about the difficulty of shooting the film, he went on an angry rant. Quote, "For actors to sit there and talk about, oh, I went to SEAL training and I slept on the floor. I don't give an F what you did. You don't do what these guys did. For somebody to sit there and say, my job was as difficult as somebody in the military's, how effing dare you, while you sit in a makeup chair for 2 hours." He added that at the end of the day, actors get to go home, go to their hotel room and order effing chicken. Tom's lawyers then jumped in very quickly and claimed that the actor was only joking, and in fact is a staunch supporter of the troops. But the tension was very clearly real. Number 9. Thandie Newton. When speaking with Vulture, Newton revealed exactly why working with Tom Cruise on the 2000 film Mission Impossible was a total nightmare. When asked why she never filmed another movie in the franchise, the actress said, "Oh, I was never asked. I was so scared of Tom. He was a very dominant individual. He tries super super hard to be a nice person. She described him as really stressed and dominant, recounting an incident on set in which she and Cruise attempted to finish a night scene on the balcony. Quote, "I don't think it was a very well written scene. I get angry with him, we're frustrated at each other, and Tom made a decision at the very beginning of the movie, unbeknownst certainly to me, that he didn't speak English, which I think was very helpful to him, but it was extremely unhelpful to the rest of us." Thandie went on to say that Tom got so frustrated with her performance that it just pushed her further into a place of terror and insecurity. But despite everything, Thandie insisted that she doesn't think poorly of Tom as a person. Quote, "He wasn't horrible, it was just that he was really stressed. But the pressure, he takes on a lot. I think he has this sense that only he can do everything as best as it can be done." Number 8. Brooke Shields. Telling women what they can and can't wear is one way to make yourself extremely unpopular among the female demographic, but telling them how to give birth is a different kind of insult entirely. Just ask Brooke Shields after she had to deal with public shaming from Tom Cruise, who went on the record criticizing her decision to use antidepressants to help her with postpartum depression. Quote, "When someone says medication has helped them, it is to cope. It didn't cure anything. There is no science. There is nothing that can cure them whatsoever." And if that wasn't condescending enough for you, he added, "I care about Brooke Shields because I think she's an incredibly talented woman, but look at where her career has gone." But Brooke was not having it and took the opportunity to stand up for herself and new mothers everywhere. She said, "Tom should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them." Adding that, "I'm going to take a wild guess and say that Mr. Cruise has never suffered from postpartum depression." She called his comments a disservice to mothers everywhere and said that if any good can come of Mr. Cruise's ridiculous rants, let's hope that it gives much needed attention to a serious disease.
Number 7, we have Harrison Ford. With claims that the devil was with them both, rumors started circulating that both Harrison and Pitt didn't get along while filming The Devil's Own, with Pitt noting that the film was the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking he's ever seen. Majority of the two feuds came from the fact the actors couldn't decide which character should be the center of the film. With the two doing separate interviews about the film, Ford came out to say that for a second, Brad forgot for a minute he was talking to someone who was paid to write this stuff down. While the two were really excited to work with each other before the film started, it's sad to see that these great actors clash and let the worst get the best of them. Number 6, we have Mark Canton. Now, Harrison wasn't the only one who was said to have a feud with Brad Pitt while on the set of The Devil's Own. When Pitt claimed the film was irresponsible and that he couldn't believe how toxic the set was, news started to circulate that Pitt wanted to leave the film. That's when Mark Canton, the head of Columbia Pictures, had to threaten Pitt with a $63 million lawsuit that if he went through with the walkout, he was gonna sue him that. Mark even had to tell the actor that he didn't care and just to shoot something. While the filming was taking place, Pitt ultimately decided to avoid the lawsuit and stay on set. Shia LaBeouf, coming in at number 4. When on set of Fury, Brad Pitt is said to had some tensions with the actor. Shia didn't play around when it came to his character for his parts of the film, and he was so committed to the role he wanted to bring justice to his character. The actor was so into character, he even had one of his front teeth removed and went tased without showering. While Shia was determined to make an impression with his work on Fury, he may have rubbed off the wrong way towards Brad Pitt. With a lot of the tensions on set, Shia explained that him and Pitt actually ended up in a physical altercation where they were constantly butting heads throughout the filming process. Pitt has refused to talk about the feud and ultimately decided to praise the actor on his commitment to his work.
Number 3, Katie Holmes. Back in 2012, the former Hollywood power couple Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes announced to the world that they were getting a divorce after 6 years of marriage. News of the A-list split sent shockwaves through the world of show business and sparked waves of rumors and speculation as to why the pair decided to call it quits. After a whirlwind romance, the couple got married in a luxurious Italian wedding ceremony and welcomed their first child together, Suri Cruz. So their divorce came as a shock to everyone. The major reason was allegedly Katie's aversion to raising their daughter in Scientology. Tom basically confirmed this during a 2013 deposition, admitting that this was one of the reasons that his ex-wife filed for divorce. He also revealed that his daughter, Suri, who was just 7 years old at the time, was no longer a practicing member of the Church of Scientology Scientology. This was a pretty surprising admission, considering that those who leave the religion are often cut off from other practicing members, which is probably why Katie won sole custody of Suri, which reportedly included ironclad rulings that she would not be exposed to anything Scientology related. And to this day, it appears as though the former couple aren't exactly on good terms, as Tom reportedly hasn't even seen his daughter in years. Number 2, Mickey Rourke. In a new interview with Piers Morgan Uncensored, the boxer turned actor was asked about Tom Cruise, and he made it quite clear that he wasn't a fan at all. It was mentioned that his new movie, Top Gun Maverick, made over $1 billion at the box office, and Rourke said, "That doesn't mean jack to me. This guy's been doing the same effing part for 35 years. I got no respect for that." Rourke went on to list some of the actors whose careers he does enjoy and admire, unlike Tom's. And when Morgan asked whether or not he thinks of Cruise as a good actor, Rourke just said, "I think he's irrelevant in my world." And back in 2005, when Tom criticized Brooke Shields for taking antidepressants, Mickey spoke out against him then. Quote, "My therapist saved my effing life and my career. I don't care what Tom Cruise says about therapy. F him." Picking on poor Brooke Shields. People need medicine and they need therapists. Let the Scientologists go effing live on a planet of their own. He was referring to the fact that Scientologists strictly oppose psychiatry and therapy as it goes against their core beliefs. So he's made it pretty clear that he doesn't think very highly of the Hollywood star. And coming in at number 1, John Travolta. Both are active, high-ranking members of the Church of Scientology, but it has been since revealed that the two are not exactly friends. The truth came out when a former bodyguard from the church, Brendan Teague, revealed in 2018 that John Travolta was furious when Tom achieved the highest honor in the organization in 2008. He was awarded the Freedom Medal of Valor from the leader of the organization, David Miscavige. This award is only given to its most dedicated member. John was also said to be frustrated over the fact that Tom has become a major player in the church, and to this day is one of the best known members in the world. Brendan Teague claimed that this event left Travolta feeling extremely jealous. Eventually he grew so angry that he decided to express himself and wrote a scathing letter to Miscavige, which reportedly included the question, "What the hell was this medal all about?" The reason being is that the actor believed himself to be the most dedicated member of the church, and had allegedly introduced more members than any other celebrity. So when he was passed over for the award, John began to despise Tom. It didn't help that only 2 years earlier, John wasn't invited to Tom's wedding with Katie Holmes, so their relationship was already rocky to begin with.
Number 10, Scott Eastwood. We've heard complaints from many of Jared Leto's past co-stars, mostly about how he tends to take his method acting to the extremes, from presenting them with a dead pig to sending them inappropriate items in the mail. It's all a bit bizarre and uncomfortable. Co-star Scott Eastwood had something to say about the actor as well, him playing GQ Edwards alongside Leto in the movie Suicide Squad. Scott said that during filming he was afraid to approach Leto, saying that while he knew the actor, he definitely didn't recognize him in his portrayal of the Joker, also saying that he was worried about affecting Jared's performance and getting in the way of the thing he had going on. While for many actors, method acting can be a good way to get into character and prepare yourself for the role, it may be too much if doing so puts everyone else on edge and makes them scared to even get near you. Number 9, Daniel Espinosa. Daniel Espinosa was the director of smash hit movie of the century Morbius, and it seems like Leto's strange behavior and overdone method acting on set was not exclusive to his role as the Joker, as Espinosa says it was present on his set as well. He was apparently always in character, the director saying, "I almost never saw him getting into the role. It was more that Michael Morbius was on set. The moment he would exit his trailer, it would no longer be Jared Leto, and he would not want to be spoken to as Jared Leto." Espinosa does at least credit how this can be a very effective practice for many actors, and it did appear to work out for Leto. Obviously, we know his acting came out incredible, as Morbius sold 1 more billion tickets at the box office on opening weekend. Espinosa also went on to say that Jared Leto got so committed that he became scared for him, and that it was apparently very intense. He would also apparently walk around on crutches almost all the time, which frustrated everyone on set as it caused major delays in the filming day. Number 8, Denis Villeneuve. Let's hear from another director that has worked with the actor, this time from Denis Villeneuve, director of the film Blade Runner 2049. He spoke about how the actor once again committed himself to his role by wearing contact contact lenses that made him almost completely blind, as the character Leto was set to portray is also blind. Villeneuve said, "We all heard stories about Jared, how he transforms into the characters, but even this didn't prepare me for what was to come. He entered the room and he could not see at all. He was walking with an assistant very slowly. It was like seeing Jesus walking into a temple." Similar to Leto walking around on crutches on set for Morbius, his constant, almost permanently blind state around set frustrated people as well, as he would always have to walk with an assistant and move very slowly. It made filming very difficult and slowed down the production process. But hey, anything for the role, I guess.
Number 7. Jesse Armstrong. The creator and writer of HBO's Succession decided to use his acceptance speech at this year's Emmys to take a dig at King Charles. Jesse Armstrong graced the stage twice, once to pick up an award for his writing on the show, and again with the entire cast and crew to receive the Outstanding Drama Series award. He said, "A big week for Successions. New king in the UK, this for us. Evidently a little more voting involved in our winning than Prince Charles." Even in a room full of Americans, the audience was very shocked at this risky joke, and gasps could be heard on live broadcast. When there was a bit of an uncomfortable silence, the show's lead actor Brian Cox told him, "Keep it royalist," but Jesse kept going and said, "I'm not saying we're more legitimate in our position than he is. We'll leave that to the other people." According to eyewitness accounts, there was very little laughter in the room and most people just felt plain awkward. Number 6. Tony Blair. The royals are expected to understand that party politics and individual politicians are totally off limit for public comment. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair was so furious about Prince Charles's behaviour during his time in Downing Street that he reportedly complained about him to Queen Elizabeth. He accused Charles of crossing the line and meddling in political matters by trying to influence government policy. The ex-Labour leader was said to have become exasperated by his interventions over agriculture, the armed forces, architecture and homeopathy, and even genetically modified foods. Then scandal erupted for both men in 2015 when they became embroiled in the scandal known as the Black Spider Memos, which was a collection of 27 letters that Charles sent from 2004 to 2005 lobbying the British PM for the policy changes that he hoped for. This was a pretty big controversy considering that members of the royal family are supposed to stay out of politics and remain neutral, especially the ones who were always destined to be king. Number 5. Princess Diana. When Prince Charles wed Diana in 1981 in front of a global television audience of more than 750 million people, the couple seemed to be perfect for each other. But behind the scenes, the marriage had extreme problems, and it became apparent that Charles was having an affair with Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall. A heartbroken Diana bravely decided to expose the affair in an infamous 1992 interview, saying, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." Subsequently, Charles publicly admitted to being unfaithful in his own interview, and the couple eventually divorced in 1996. With his admission of guilt, there was already public outrage growing against him, but it all came to a head when the princess was killed in a Paris car crash in 1997. From that point on, there were vitriolic outpourings in the press against both him and Camilla, and his popularity sank to an all-time low. So the British public, who is still very protective of Diana, still haven't been able to forgive Charles for how he treated her during their ill-fated marriage. Number 4. Richard Rogers. The award-winning British architect had made it known that when it comes to his career and livelihood, his biggest enemy is King Charles, who has used his power and influence on several occasions to step in at the last minute and object to Richard's designs. In one instance, Charles personally wrote a letter to his client, the Prime Minister of Qatar, another royal, to say that Richard's design was too modern to be built on a site that was so close to Christopher Wren's 17th century Chelsea hospital. So the architect was kicked off the job and the British architectural establishment was up in arms. Richard said, "I don't believe that the Prince of Wales understands architecture. He thinks it is fixed at one point in the past. He occupies a privileged position, and he should not use that to damage the livelihoods of the people that he disagrees with." While it's common knowledge that Charles has a huge disdain for modern architecture, which is probably classist in some way or another, it seems as though he is not above ruining someone's career over his taste in buildings.
Number 3. Todd Phillips. When director Todd Phillips recreated the character again in his dark 2019 film Joker, Jared Leto got a little bit angry. There was more beef than a cow farm. Apparently, when Suicide Squad came out, Leto had been promised his own solo Joker movie, though things obviously changed over the course of production, and following the film, as Leto's time in Suicide Squad was severely cut down from the original plan, leaving him with only around 10 minutes of screen time in the film. He had been planning to be a main character and seemed to push himself a bit too far. A source saying, in his defense, it was never really his movie, but his attempt to invent a place for himself in it backfired. When he heard about the new movie not featuring him, he had complained to his agents, and even requested that his music manager call the company and get the film called off. Phillips obviously made the right decision in choosing to move forward with a different actor for the character, as his movie performed well and got mostly completely positive reviews. Number 2. Joel Kinnaman. Get out your sunglasses because we're throwing shade over here once again. And of course, if you hadn't guessed by now, it's about Leto's Joker. Actor Joel Kinnaman was doing a press tour for his upcoming show while also working on scenes for the past movie's soft reboot, The Suicide Squad. He was asked his thoughts on Joker and Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal of the character, and he took the opportunity to stir up some drama and throw some shade towards Leto. The interviewer asked if Kinnaman felt like he was cheating on Leto, and he responded with, "No." Who? Joel, of course, having co-starred in Suicide Squad with Leto and obviously knowing who he is, but sounds like he's pretending he doesn't and maybe does not want to be associated with the actor. He then went on to highly praise Phoenix's take on the Clown Prince of Crime.
Number 10. Prince Harry. Since stepping down from royal duties, Prince Harry has made his disdain for Charles pretty apparent, but he took his family beef to the next level when he criticized Charles's parenting on Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast. The 36-year-old claimed that his father handed down a cycle of genetic pain and suffering to him, which is why he and his wife Meghan Markle moved to Los Angeles. Harry says that they got out of the royal family to break the cycle. Quote, "He treated me the way he was treated. So how can I change that for my kids? We as parents should be doing the most we can do to try and say, you know what, that happened to me and I'm gonna make sure that doesn't happen to you." Harry went on to describe his life as a royal as a mixture of the Truman Show and being in a zoo. In fact, Harry said that he had debated leaving the royal family since his early 20s because of what it did to his mom, which contradicts the narrative that Meghan was the one who wanted to leave. Number 9. Meghan Markle. During her explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey, the Duchess of Sussex claimed that someone in the family had expressed concern about the complexion of her child's skin. It was then that the allegations started to snowball, and Prince Harry told the Star that the incident happened right at the beginning of the pregnancy and left him a bit shocked. Meghan told Oprah, "In those months when I was pregnant, all around the same time, we have in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title, and also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born." Then a royal book by Christopher Anderson revealed that a source close to the family claimed that it was Charles who made the comment during a conversation over breakfast with his wife Camilla on the day that Meghan and Harry's engagement was announced. He allegedly asked Camilla, "I wonder what the children will look like," and lowering his voice asking, "I mean, what do you suppose the children's complexion might be?" So it wasn't exactly subtle. Number 8. Trevor Noah. The Daily Show host made it clear that he is not a fan of the new king at all and decided to make fun of his pen complaints. The British monarch got the whole internet laughing with his bizarre behavior because it was all caught on camera. The first time he frantically urged staff to clear the extra pens from his desk while he signed his accession proclamation. The second time was when he got really mad over a leaky pen, saying, "I can't bear this bloody thing. What do they do every stinking time?" But Trevor Noah thought he was being ridiculous and said, "What the hell was that? Did you see that thing that he did? He's also the ruler of an animal kingdom. I love how Charles says the pens leak on him all the time. You're literally the king of England, dude. If you don't like the pens, get different pens." I'm not an expert in the monarchy, but I'm pretty sure the hierarchy doesn't go Prince William, King Charles, and then the guy who buys the pens. Number 6. Nicole Kidman. Although it's been over for decades, Nicole Kidman's marriage to Tom Cruise is still one of Hollywood's most talked about relationships. But at the time of meeting, he was still married to Mimi Rogers. Tom eventually divorced his first wife in February of 1990, and less than 1 year later, he exchanged vows with Nicole. They even adopted 2 children, Isabella Jane and Connor Anthony, and eventually went on to make 2 more movies together as a couple. But as we all know, their marriage was far from perfect, and they ended up splitting up a decade later in 2001. Looking back on the divorce, Nicole said, quote, "I was so young when I got married. I look back now and I'm like, what?" She told Red magazine that she felt isolated during her marriage, and even when she won an Oscar, she described it as, "I was holding a gold statue and I was the loneliest I'd ever been." The divorce took Nicole by surprise, and it got very messy very quickly with the custody battle. In the end, Tom allegedly turned her children against her, as he was granted full custody of their kids, and ended up raising both of them to be Scientologists. But despite all the heartbreak, nothing beats that iconic photo of Nicole leaving her attorney's office, jumping for joy after their divorce was finalized. Number 4. Leah Remini. A former longtime Scientologist, King of Queens star Leah Remini opened up about her experiences in the church in her 2015 memoir Troublemaker, much to the disdain of Tom Cruise. In her book, Leah also made some shocking allegations about several well-known Hollywood celebrities. In fact, she recalled a time that she and her husband, Angelo, spent time at Tom Cruise's Beverly Hills mansion, when he invited a group of well-known Scientologists and other celebrities including Will and Jada Pinkett Smith. He announced to all the guests that he wanted to play hide and seek and pressured everyone to join in. Remini also explained another bizarre incident when Tom had a meltdown over cookies. Quote, "Once he wanted to make cookies, and there was a package of pre-packaged cookie dough on the counter. He asked, 'Guys, where's the cookie stuff?' Tom seemed like a child who had never been told no, and he screamed at his assistant." And when Top Gun Maverick came out, Remini cautioned fans about supporting him, saying, "Don't let the movie star charm fool you. And no, I will not watch the movie, nor will I ever support or approve of this scam of a man." So she's clearly not one to forgive or forget. Number 3. Boris Johnson. The former Prime Minister and the new reigning monarch always had a rocky relationship, but they got into a major spat when Boris started pushing the controversial Rwanda asylum plan. The policy would have allowed the government to remove asylum seekers who crossed the channel to the UK and send them to Rwanda to claim asylum there instead. In short, Boris thought it was a great plan, and Charles said that the idea sounded appalling. The former British PM hit back at his comments, saying that most people could see that criminal gangs need to be stopped, and that it's the job of the government to stop people breaking the law. But their relationship really began to sour, and Charles eventually invited Boris to his estate for a meeting, which was a complete disaster from start to finish, as Boris reportedly didn't show him any respect, and there was clearly a lot of tension between them. Number 2. Nigel Farage. The broadcaster and former politician was quick to criticize King Charles's opinion on the controversial Rwanda policy. Farage took to Twitter and slammed his comments, writing, "Unless Prince Charles wants to destroy the monarchy, he had better shut up fast." Not only did he disagree with his point of view, but the fact that he expressed it at all, considering that yes, he is a royal and should not be making his political opinions public. But Farage really came under fire after posting a clip that seemed to mock Queen Elizabeth's death. He shared a 5-second clip to his TikTok account, which has now been viewed more than 6 million times, with the caption, "The Queen is dead, long live the King." In the video, Nigel looked and sounded incredibly sarcastic and said, "The Queen is dead, long live the King, sad day but we now have a king." He also shared the post on Twitter. No one was really sure what he meant by it, but a lot of people thought it was inappropriate considering how little emotion he showed while making the announcement. And coming in at number 1, Princess Catherine. The royals are known for their discretion and their decorum, so you might not know that the new King of England did not get along with his daughter-in-law at all. Although Kate and William have been an item for over a decade, Charles reportedly didn't embrace her when she was first introduced to the family and did not approve of their relationship. Part of the reason was because they were immensely popular, and Kate and William would send the media into a tailspin every time they left the palace. Their whirlwind romance began just a few years after Charles married Camilla, and unfortunately the older couple didn't seem too happy about sharing the spotlight with the younger couple. In 2011, the pair flew to Canada and LA on their first official trip as a royal couple. They reportedly hoped to impress King Charles, but all he seemed to care about was the fact that they posed in too many tasteless photos. So Kate's relationship with her father-in-law was rocky from the beginning.
Coming in at number 10, we have Aaron Taylor Johnston. Just after the movie Bullet Train hit theaters, Brad Pitt's co-star, Aaron Taylor Johnston, had a lot to say about the 58-year-old co-star Brad Pitt. He even revealed that his humble and gracious human being has a list of actors he refuses to work with. He's in a new chapter of his life. I think you work with many actors, and after a while you start making notes. I'm definitely not working with this person again. Brad has this list too. The good list and the bad list. True, not everybody gets along with each other on set, and Hollywood has a history of co-stars clashing. So if Brad Pitt is looking to keep himself out of drama by eliminating people he doesn't want to work with, then more power to him. There's no doubt that Aaron and Brad had a great working dynamic from what we can see in the movie. Let's just hope these two don't have each other on the bad list and they're on each other's good list so we can see them work together in the future. Coming in at number 9, we have Mark Forrester. It's claimed that since 2012, Mark Forrester and Brad Pitt refused to talk to each other, and probably for good reason. It's said that the relationship between the actor and director broke down to a degree that when they were filming the zombie apocalypse film, World War Z, the two had to communicate through third parties on set. With the film working on a tight deadline and the script being finalized and release dates being pushed back, and Pitt having final approval over new pages written by the writers, things definitely got a little heated on set. Why Pitt wanted to salvage the end of the movie, Forrester wanted to scrap it and make the ending more simple. When Mark opened up about the drama, he said he believed he wasn't the problem in the first place, and rather than chucking more CGI at the problem, Mark stuck with his gut and basically kept pushing till the problem went away. So kudos for him for having the strength to do that. At number 8, we have Tom Cruise. Now, the pair starred in the 1994 film Interview with the Vampire. Pitt stated he couldn't stand working with Tom Cruise and that he found him annoying. Brad also noted that while they were filming the film, the actor felt miserable and that Cruise bugged him so much, it came to the point he started to resent him. The filming was so bad, at one point Cruise even tried to get off the film by asking the producer and film executive, David Geffen, how much it would cost, and David told him $40 million. Ultimately, Cruise decided to stay on the film, and the finished product shows that Pitt and Cruise had tension as both appeared to look exhausted. With the new Maverick sequel hitting box office, Tom wasn't shy to remind folks that he's back on top in Hollywood while his past co-host is nowhere near.
Number 7, Lindsay Lohan. Actress and on-again, off-again ex-girlfriend of Jared Leto, Lindsay Lohan, obviously knows the guy pretty well considering all the time they spent together, especially when they co-starred in the movie Chapter 27, where Jared Leto played John Lennon's killer. Back in 2016, Lohan threw shade at Leto in regards to his portrayal of the Joker in Suicide Squad. On Instagram, she posted a collage of actors who had portrayed the character, including Leto, Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson, and notably Brandon Lee in the movie The Crow. In the caption, she said, "Who wore it better? Who based his whole music and film career on the film The Crow?" accusing Leto of having ripped off the portrayal of the character from Brandon Lee's. Lohan also added, "Every man's got a devil and you can't rest until you find him. A Suicide Squad movie is not helping the world but hurting people. Anger is not an answer for peace." So yeah, it doesn't seem like the two are still friends after their last split. Number 6, Vicky Marie Taylor. Now let's move on to what adult actress Vicky Marie Taylor had to say about the guy that she met at a party. She said that way back in 2002, she and 3 other female dancers had been invited to a post-concert party, Jared Leto being in a relationship with Cameron Diaz at the time. The girls were dancing and she had even given Leto a dance when he requested that she move over to his brother. When she did, Leto apparently came up behind her and grabbed her by the throat aggressively, whispering a statement into her ear. She said that it was an uncomfortable and weird situation, and they were only there for about 10 more minutes before they were requested to leave as they had to get back on the road for their next gig. This isn't the first time that it's been reported that Leto has gotten a bit creepy, unsettling, and aggressive during a meeting. Number 5, David Harbour. Like Lindsay Lohan, David Harbour was another celeb to throw some subtle shade at Leto's portrayal of the Joker. Back in 2018, David Harbour was getting ready to take on the role of Hellboy for the reboot of the series. When talking about the role, he started discussing how he hoped people would be on board for the reboot and that people would like his portrayal of the character. Harper said, "I can like Michael Keaton's Batman and I can like Christian Bale's Batman. I can like Jack Nicholson's Joker and I can like Heath Ledger's Joker. There's other Jokers I don't have to like." The Joker he doesn't have to like obviously being in reference to Jared Leto's Suicide Squad character. It seems like most people who saw the movie, and even those that didn't, agreed with the Stranger Things actor's opinion. While it's fun for the viewing public to pick on a celebrity's performance, it's always amusing to see high-profile celebrities engaging in playground drama. Number 4. David Ayer. As had already been mentioned, Jared Leto's actions on the movie Suicide Squad were a bit unsettling, mostly due to the actor's penchant for method acting and completely losing himself in a character. While a lot of his co-stars commented on what it was like being on set with Leto, and even what it was like being at home and receiving disturbing things in the mail from him, director David Ayer also had something to say. We've heard from a few different directors from some of Leto's other films, so here's what Ayer said. "He constantly has to give birth to himself. He goes away, he comes back. He shoots, he goes away. The Joker is something you have to be, and you can see how exhausting and painful it is for him to be this character. But you can feel it when he comes to work. The crew feels it, everyone feels it. It's like the birds stop flying. He's fucking terrifying." Yep, so looks like Will Smith was correct in saying that it felt like Leto went full Joker.
Number 3. Gina Davis. On the 1990 film set of Quick Change, Gina Davis explained how she was harassed and that she should have walked out. In her memoir titled Dying of Politeness, the Oscar-winning actress highlighted the actor once screamed at her on set for being late and continued to yell as he followed her to her trailer on the set. The altercation happened in front of a large crowd, cast, crew, and onlookers, but the star noted she should have walked away from their first meeting or profanely defended herself so she wouldn't have gotten the part. Davis and Murray first met in a hotel suite where he continued to try to use a massage device on her throughout her audition after her initial refusal. Davis explained she could have avoided the inappropriate treatment if she knew how to react or what to do during the audition, but she also didn't want to appear hard to work with, so she stayed quiet. She then went on to say that there's no point in regretting things, yet she's still here regretting it. This isn't the first time Murray has been linked to inappropriate behavior, as recently on the Searchlight Pictures suspended the production of Being Mortal after allegations surfaced of Murray engaging in an inappropriate way towards other cast members. Murray tried to defend his actions by saying, "I did something funny and it wasn't taken that way." Number 2. Jennifer Butler. On October 12, 2008, Jennifer Butler filed for divorce from Bill Murray, while alleging that their relationship was brutal and uncomplimentary. After 11 years together, the couple's relationship ended with both parties being accused of ugly behavior that played out in front of the press. While filing for divorce, Jennifer also requested at the time that there be a restraining order placed against her husband. While Bill's lawyers did come out to say they couldn't comment on the fact of the case, they did say Bill was deeply saddened by the breakup, and Jennifer Butler's accusations against her husband showed that Murray was aggressive both on and off set, and that her story should have been the reason the star was cancelled years ago before this mess got any worse. The two remained loving parents to their 4 children and would remain that way on best behavior for the best interest of their children. Number 1. Lucy Liu. Lucy's experience with Bill on the set of Charlie's Angels was truly heartbreaking, considering the stars showed amazing chemistry on screen. However, Lucy went on to say that she got into an argument with Murray on set and he started using language that was inappropriate and unacceptable. On the Los Angeles Times podcast, Asian Enough, Lucy said that during the confrontation, she stood up for herself and did not regret doing it. The star went on to note that no matter how high you get on the totem pole, there's no reason to put other people down. Liu went on to say that the clash came during a rehearsal on a scene which had recently been reworked. Bill was unable to come because he had to attend a family gathering, and when he learned about it, he was upset and hurled insults at her. Lucy definitely wasn't having it, and she definitely wasn't going to sit around and be talked to in a degrading language, so she decided to speak up for herself and stand by the one thing she had, which was her self-respect and dignity. Murray later downplayed the incident by saying, "Look, I will dismiss you completely if you are unprofessional in working with me. When our relationship is professional and you're not getting that done, forget it." Since the incident, many crew members who were on the set have told Lucy they're really grateful for what she did. Lucy then went on to say that since the film, her and Murray reconciled and that they have nothing bad to say about him. The two started talking at the Saturday Night Live reunion, and he was perfectly nice to her, but she also noted she would no longer sit around and be walked all over. Like Lucy, many stars have addressed their concerns about Bill over the years, and Hollywood should have been keeping an eye on it before matters got worse.